And good evening, everyone. This is Dr. Rhonda Farrell bringing you ASQ Innovation Technical Communities April session with our Dr. Ripi Singh. We welcome all of our attendees from around the globe tonight. And you are in for such a treat for Why Not? Starts with Why Not? Or How About? Or What If? Our presenter tonight is a purposeful innovation coach and digital transformation catalyst. He has decades worth of experience with developing products, technologies, processes, talent, and leaders. Not only that, but he is an expert in developing the ISO 56000 standards for innovation management and is an advisor around the world. So you have tonight the winner of the prestigious Robert C. McMaster Gold Medal in 2022 being your host tonight, authoring over 20 books, 150 plus publications, and 300 plus lectures delivered to over 20 countries. He has a PhD in engineering and MS in business strategy. And he has a phenomenal technology pedigree, both with Alstom, now GE, and Pratt & Whitney, and is also a professor of aerospace engineering. So tonight, if you will please join the ASQ Innovation TC in welcoming Dr. Ripi Singh for Why Not Start with Why Not? Or How About and What If? Welcome, Dr. Ripi Singh.
Thank you, Rhonda. It's a pleasure to be here this evening talking to members of ASQ and non-members of ASQ. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good day, wherever you are in the world at this time. I will share my screen and walk you through a few things that Rhonda and I discussed are worth sharing with you from my experiences over the years. You know, Rhonda mentioned that I have decades of experience. I actually think that I have decades of learning, and the experience is probably just about 5 years ever since I got into the digital transformation domain. Anything before that, the industry 3.0 really is 30, 35 years of learning. Please let me know if you're able to see my title screen.
Absolutely perfect, sir.
Very good. Thank you. Let's start with why not? Over the last few years, I had a chance to discuss this subject of innovation and digital transformation all around the world, and also help the local Connecticut ecosystem with a bunch of clients, strategic partners, and other collaborators. I never think of competition. I always think of someone with whom I can work together to solve a bigger problem. COVID put me in the room, and I had a chance to document all of that knowledge in a set of books that are available on Amazon. And this is what we talked about, American Society for Non-Destructive Testing, where I had an opportunity, along with my partner, Johannes Vrana, to really bring the 4.0 into the domain, awarded us this prestigious gold medal to essentially recognizing the efforts we had put over the years to impact the ecosystem of quality, safety, reliability of critical assets. Just to open the conversation about innovation, I'm sure you have all seen this kind of a cartoon, is how we approach when someone comes up with a brilliant idea. So here is a guy who says, I've got a battle tank, but then people still want to take the sword and go to the battle with the horse because they have a battle to fight and they have no time for innovation. I always get a chuckle. And every customer, we talk about innovating and we talk about creating new products and processes, we get pretty much the same response. We will do it next year. Right now, I need to focus on the deliveries. I have this to do, I have that to do. I have no time for innovation. So we must address that mindset in everyday living. Rhonda, that might answer your question, what brought me to innovation. I was that guy who would look around and see, is there a better tank that I can take to the battlefield and not just keep fighting the way I have always been fighting. So in today's talk, I'm going to touch upon a few topics. I'll share a perspective on what is transformation, which is a lot more than innovation, what's a purpose and how that fits, which goes beyond objectives and goals. I'll talk about innovation, which is not just continuous improvement. I'll also talk about sustainable innovation, and I'll wrap it up with a model I now call inspiring next circle, which is very different than the popular golden circle. So let's start with what is transformation. I believe you have seen this picture before somewhere. If not, let me tell you who this person is. This person is Bertha Benz. She is wife of Carl Benz, or she was wife of Carl Benz. And we all know the Mercedes Benz car. So what you're seeing over here is the very first Mercedes Benz car in 1888, when Bertha quietly took the car along with her two teenage sons without telling her husband Carl, took the car out of the backyard and started driving across Germany because she believed that here's an innovation that everybody needs and nobody wants. And she wanted to demonstrate it is worth trying it out. Now, just think about it. Were there roads at that time? No. Were there any maps or GPS? No. Were there any gas stations on the way? No. She had to go to a grocery store every hour and buy a, a cooking oil, a liter of cooking oil, and keep filling the tank because Carl never built the tank large enough to drive 100 kilometers. She had a brake failure, so she had to go to a cobbler to get a new leather pads. That's what she went through to just demonstrate what does it take to bring innovation to the marketplace. So we have seen how mobility has transformed from a horse carriage to what was then called horseless carriage to an automobile. And that's not enough. We have actually transformed complete mobility by having airplanes. Same way, manufacturing has transformed from dirty and dangerous to clean and safe to fully autonomous cell, where we are going with Industry 4.0. And very soon, that could be a lights out operation if there are no humans need to go work on the shop floor. That's transformation. That's a lot more than innovation. That's innovation happening on so many fronts and coming together to completely change the way you work, the way you live. Today, the popular term is digital transformation. And we tend to believe that it's about digital, and we emphasize on digital technologies. And that's where a lot of us kind of hit the wall. Actually, it is less about digital and it's more about transformation. The right way to think of it is it's digital technologies for business transformation. And the short form becomes digital transformation. And we tend to believe, let's put AI and I'll be transformed. Let's put 3D printer and I'll be transformed. The technologies alone are not enough. You need to do more than technology. You need to innovate the process and business model to truly, truly transform. See how digital transformation has changed learning. We have gone from books to YouTube and now to ChatGPT. Look how shopping has transformed. We have gone from small shacks and kiosks to big shopping malls and now online shopping through smartphone, and even just voice controlled, no click required. Just say, Alexa, get me this. So transformation is not continuous improvement. A lot of times people think that a transformation would be, I'll put turbojets on a caterpillar and I'll just make it faster, cheaper, better. And that's transformation. No, transformation is when a caterpillar becomes a moth. It changes to a point where you cannot even recognize where you came from. If we were to think of change as a small change or a large change, and if we were to think of whether we are doing it in response to a stimulus or we are doing it proactively, okay? On this particular chart, if we do a small change as a response to something that's going wrong, it's called maintenance. And if you focus just on maintenance, a time comes when you have to do a crisis recovery. You have to make a step change. So to avoid this, over the years, we have started taking proactive incremental change, which we call continuous improvement. Innovation is a step change that you take proactively. That's how innovation is different from continuous improvement. And transformation is a proactive, radical change that builds upon innovation, multiple innovations coming together. Some planned, some serendipitous, some because things like COVID happen and you have to create a new lifestyle. So, this is where transformation is much bigger than innovation, which is bigger and different than continuous improvement. I'll just give you a simple example. A continuous improvement of candle would never lead you to a light bulb. You need innovation to get to a light bulb. But then electricity gives you a lot more opportunity to completely transform your lifestyle. So in this graphic, I'm trying to show the difference between continuous improvement, innovation, and transformation. All right, now let's look at what is happening with so-called digital transformation. Most ecosystems are very similar. Our perspectives differ. I work with 15 different industries, and every industry claims they are unique. Within industry, I work with several businesses, and they all believe they are unique. There is some uniqueness in everyone, but fundamentally, they are all in some system where they're dealing with a customer, they are producing value, there are people who work to produce value, and then they depend upon some kind of a supplier of processes, technologies, materials, whatever. So fundamentally, the ecosystems are very similar. And now comes the digital transformation entering into this ecosystem. Most people are generally correct in their journey for digital transformation, but they are often incomplete. It is very difficult to get a complete picture of digital transformation in the ecosystem. It is almost like six blind men trying to describe an elephant with the sense of touch. People who are in manufacturing, they can touch 3D printer and they believe that's digital transformation. People who are sitting back and creating large language models, they would claim AI is digital transformation. Somebody else says digital twin is digital transformation. They are all a piece of digital transformation. The question that I'm going to answer in the next 3 to 4 minutes is, how do we absorb this elephant called digital transformation into a model of ecosystem that we can understand? So in an ecosystem, there are several companies and there are consumer groups. And then we have regulatory bodies like the FDA, FAA, NTSB, and everything. Companies have processes, they have leadership, and they follow certain policies. Processes have equipment, people who use the equipment, and they follow a procedure. Now, digital transformation is a bunch of digital technologies, right? I mentioned that. But it's a lot more than how the technologies are brought into this ecosystem. This digital technology suite actually comes at the lowest level of the ecosystem. It changes the equipment. And when that happens, we call it digitization. This is when you have gone from a film camera to a digital camera. When people using that equipment and procedures, when it all becomes digital, then the entire process can be viewed as digitalized. This helps you bring efficiency, productivity, cost reduction, all of the things that up until now used to be a part of lean innovation. They work at a process level. This is where you are able to manage your digital pictures, share them with your friends, do a whole bunch of other things, process them, improve the quality, cut and paste, and all that stuff. So within a company, when different processes get integrated with each other digitally, that's when you say the company is now digitally transformed. It is a new kind of a business. It's a coordinated effort at scale that changes consumer experience, that changes employee experience. That is transformation of the business. And when businesses transform and they connect with each other through digital means and are regulated, is when you call the ecosystem has completely transfigured. It has taken a new shape. The example over here is when you go to an Expedia website and you make your flight reservations and hotel and rental car and everything else all through one website, and you pay through a single credit card payment, and it's all taken care of. Although there are several companies in the back end that you have no clue how they are working. That is when digital has penetrated all the way up to ecosystem. And the innovation at each level requires different questions, different answers, and a different integration of people, processes, and technologies. So this progression or penetration of digital going from equipment to process to company to ecosystem is a journey that every company is right now going through. Whether you realize it or not, you are a part of that transformation. We are just at a different point in this journey. We must ask, what is our current state? How far can I see? Where should I aspire to go? And also, what kind of an infrastructure is required to make it happen? Go back to the story of Bertha Benz. When she drove for 100 kilometers in Germany, there was no infrastructure. If you bring Bertha Benz today and show her what we have done with the highways and the traffic lights and the bridges and driver's license and insurance and traffic cops, I mean, she would not believe what she started in 1888 has transformed into a completely different lifestyle. Same thing with Wright brothers. You bring them today and you make them stand at JFK airport, they probably won't even recognize that airplane. They will wonder, what kind of a balloon is that? I don't think they saw where aviation could go at that point. That's transformation. And most of us at the moment, when it comes to 4.0, we cannot see the end state. We are a little bit blind. And that's why we struggle to adapt to the change. That's why we resist, because we are not sure where we are going. I hear my clients all the time saying, I want a clear picture. Well, by the time the picture gets clear, it may be too late. So do you see any company today that is running without an email? No. So 4 years ago, I used to say, you will not see a company running without AI. And I think today everyone is talking about, I am using AI, whether they are or they are not, but they are talking about it. So that's what transformation is about. And it is innovation at scale. It is innovation on top of innovation, on top of innovation, and changing mindset along the way. I want to give you an example from my personal life. My grandfather wrote a book in 1976. That was the era of Industry 2.0. He would write it with a pencil on a paper, use the rubber, erase it. I think he used to come every summer to stay with us, and he spent 3 years writing the book, and it took 5 years to publish. And he had to buy at least 1,000 copies because that's what the printer wanted to make a business case. My uncle, father's elder brother, wrote this book in 1995. That was the Industry 3.0 time frame. We had computers and email. So he typed it on the computer, but then he will print it on the down the street somewhere, mail it, uh, because the email could not handle that many kilobytes of data. And 6 months later, he will get a proof, and then he will approve it. It took him about 14, 15 months to get the book out, and he had to buy at least 500 copies for it to make business sense. I now write a book in the Industry 4.0 era in about 2 weeks and put it on Amazon, and it's available for sale within hours. And if I order just one copy, it's okay. In my grandfather's time, he could not make a change to the book at all. My uncle's time frame, the era 3.0, you could change the book, but you had to pay for it. Today, with Amazon KDP in the 4.0 era, I can make a change for no cost to me, and I can have a revised version of the book by tomorrow morning. That is transformation. And that has happened because of innovations in creating the content, in checking the content, in running diagnostics, improving grammar, formatting it, submitting it online, getting it typeset automatically, making an order and getting a hard copy shipped to you without anyone even touching in between. When I ordered this book, I'm probably the first one who puts the finger on the book because it comes through the machine nonstop. That's transformation. Anyway, a lot about this story here. So over the years, since I started my practice about 10 years ago, I have worked with several clients. I'm going to give you a few stories and innovation models that have been used. I want to respect my non-disclosure, so I cannot identify each story with which client, but it should just give you a flavor. We work with some of the big ones, smaller ones, universities, everywhere. So let's talk about first case, which helps me build why not. Okay. Here is a client we worked on. It's a manufacturing company. It's local to Connecticut. They were looking to transform and grow. We built a 10-year strategy. This was in 2019, before COVID. And we created a vision for 2030, and we created a plan for where we want to be in 2030. And along the way, we realized why we are doing this. And the purpose of doing this was actually social impact. They were building sporting goods, and they were building parts for the medical devices. But a lot of it is plastic. And we also thought about how to recycle the waste so that we are socially responsible. These guys went through COVID. The mindset of innovation helped them survive, actually thrive and grow during the process. And now we are looking at 2035 for them. Fundamentally, what was going on was that this company was not looking at just the financials. Okay, I'm going to show you a purpose model here. A lot of time, companies are not even aware of why do they exist. But oftentimes, they believe that the purpose of a business is to make money, and they have financial goal. But this particular customer was looking at what's the right technology that we put into the manufacturing domain. But when we started working this 10-year vision, we realized that we exist not just for money and not just for technology, but to actually impact something at a social level. We are actually working towards a smart healthcare system. And then when you think about plastics, we thought we also need to do it in a responsible fashion. So we started talking the purpose around sustainability. So we built certain things in the transformation, in the company transformation, so that you realize that there is no planet B. We need to preserve this. There is only one stone that we must keep, that we have inherited from our grandparents, and we owe it to our grandchildren, and we have to preserve it. So, effectively, when you think about transformation, when you think about innovation, why not do something that's right for society, that's right for humans? Why not do something that's good for the planet? The whole idea is transform today with technology, but transform also to make it more earth friendly, to be green. So make it a double. Okay, go for dual transformation, because sustainability, which provides a purpose to innovation and transformation, and digitalization is a lever that we can turn today to achieve sustainable goals. So the question really is, why not? Why not look at triple bottom line, where we think of profit, but we also think of people and the planet? Why not do something which is right for all three? Why not? Start with the why not. Let's look at another example. I want to talk a little bit more about innovation. We were pulled into doing a crisis innovation workshop to help an aerospace OEM turn around. They were losing market share. They wanted to recapture that. So we pretty much had a dozen people locked up for 10 days in a facility offsite, and we generated number of options, and we generated significant amount of details on how to execute. And it was a combination of short-term turnaround actions and significant recommendations for the long-term plan, because we needed both to turn around. And that worked pretty well. We redefined the business model. We put in cost savings in place. We put extra technologies, more automation. And then there are a couple of things that I cannot share with you. There's a secret sauce to the whole thing. That company turned around. It has been acquired by a private equity firm now. So we actually feel pretty proud of what came out. How did we go through this? We went through what we have as a 5-step process for rapid innovation. We did a very quick situation analysis. We understood the pains, the fears, the challenges. And then we had a very clear mandate of what we need in 2 weeks. The goal was clear. What do we need in 2 weeks? What do I need in 2 years? And where do I want to take it 5 years from now? We had a significant, powerful, open ideation. Now, ideation is different than brainstorming. In ideation, you are allowed to criticize as long as you can build on the idea. In ideation, you are forced to build on other ideas. In ideation, you use conscious external triggers. And that's why a structured ideation for innovation is a lot more powerful than a traditional brainstorming session. And then we can go through a quick business case type and figure out how are we going to execute with a prime path and a plan B and a plan C. So this was our crisis innovation model that we actually developed before COVID and then deployed with several clients during COVID because it worked. So that's how we innovate under pressure. Now, that does not mean that you always have to be under pressure to do it. The same philosophy also works on an everyday basis. You don't have to do a rapid situation analysis. You can do a deep dive, spend a month doing it. You don't necessarily need a clear charter. In that case, you can have an open charter and then follow through the rest of it. So what questions should we ask in a situation like this? How about creating a resilient business which is focused on innovation that is systematic? When I say systematic, is just like the 5-step process that I talked about. But now, doing it one time is not enough. You need to also make it systemic. And that's where my next example comes, where we talk about systemic innovation so that you sustain it, which is well beyond a single problem being solved. There is an example of a company that was struggling with R&D management. They are rapidly growing, but they needed to build R&D processes and maturity in the processes. We have been engaged with them for about 7 or 8 years now, and every year they do a little bit more. When it comes to process, they are still focused on continuous improvement. When it comes to products, they are now developing truly disruptive products in the electric grid market. But during that process, we came to a realization that they have a very good PLM software which helps them develop, design products. They have a very good ERP software which allows them to manage production. They have a very good CRM software which allows them to take care of marketing, sales, customer service, and everything. But the biggest gap they had was in strategy and innovation. That was still around Microsoft Excel and Microsoft PowerPoint and emails. And everybody was on a different page because they have different versions of the same Excel file. And every month they're making new PowerPoint charts for the management to fund projects, to the program managers, giving them progress. We actually created, in partnership with the customer, a software called Ironframe, which allows you to manage strategy and innovation in a structured manner. Think of it like an ERP or a CRM for strategy, for innovation management, which takes you from purpose to ideation to projects to managing talent, and helping you understand what element of innovation is working and what is not working. And guess what? Now we have AI. So all the users who've been using Ironframe, now you can deploy AI to do advanced analytics and figure out how really to improve the innovation management cycle as well. The engine behind this is a framework that we had developed almost 7, 8 years ago. And elements of this are a part of ISO standard, where we say, what is your innovation profile? Whenever I ask a CEO how innovative you are, the answer is, oh, we are very innovative. Now, what does very mean? Okay, tell me on a scale of 1 to 5, how innovative you are. Well, we are probably 4. Okay. If I were to say 1 is you're not even aware of, and 5 is Google and Apple, where are you? Oh, we are probably 3 if you put a scale like that. All right. Now let me define the scale that we believe, call it a maturity model or whatever. If you are innovating because your customer asked you for something new and you're following the market, you are a level 2, an agile follower. And at this stage, you are competing on cost and time to market, because when customer asks for it, everybody is in the market trying to give you that. You can be a smart forecaster where you are predicting what the customer will ask you next year, and you start developing those products now. And the level 4 is where you create a product and you create a demand. iPhone is a part of that. Drone is a part of that. And robust and resilient is you really become Google, where you have so much talent and so much financial assets that you can easily absorb other small companies, absorb innovation, absorb disruption. So that's how we define innovation profiles. Now, for this company that I just talked to you about, that we have been working with for the last 8 years, we have carried them from being a market follower to a balanced portfolio where 60% of their business is market following, about 30% is a smart forecaster, and about 10% of it is creating products that are truly visionary in the marketplace. Now, to make that progression, to help build that profile, our framework talks about 4 activity tracks. You need to have a strategy. You need to figure out where are you going and how will you compete in the marketplace. We call it a GPS model. That's what GPS does to you. You put your destination address, it tells you the path. Second is innovation capital. What will take you there? What talent, knowledge, assets, intellectual assets you need to make that progress? Third is actually the innovative activity. How do you develop new stuff? And I just talked about the 5-step process. That's actually project execution. That's like now driving the car. Okay? That's when you create something new. And we don't leave lean behind because we need that so that we can run this process smoothly, right? It's like 4-wheel alignment of the car. If all the 4 wheels are aligned and they're the same size and they have the right right tire pressure, they will drive your car efficiently, smoothly, and that's what you like when you're riding it, correct? So that's how our innovation framework looks like, and there are tools and processes for each track, for each level that we deploy when we work with our clients. This is a typical innovation implementation activity where we can take the clients from becoming self-aware to becoming aware of the market to having a systematic and systemic innovation all the way up to a sustainable innovation. You need different set of tools and processes and mindset as you make progression in this profile. Okay, this is very important. A lot of us don't realize that you just don't become like Apple overnight. I mean, you actually have to be consistent with a lot of things for a long time, with the right mindset, with the right process, with the right investment to actually make that progress. So what questions should we ask? What if the innovation becomes a culture and we bring innovation into culture? That's what we do. It helps. Let me take you towards a wrap up in the last 5-7 minutes here, and then we can have a Q&A session. So what we have done so far, we talked about a bunch of questions. Why not? How about? What if? Here is an example. We were running an exercise which used all of those 3 classes of questions. This is a major manufacturing factory in Germany. They called us saying, we know everything about smart factory. We already know what 2035 would look like. We need to figure out what 2040 would look like. So then we actually had a team of people. We spent 2 days and we kept on going around these 3 questions. Why not? What if? How about? And you keep building on each other's ideas, each other's vision in a very structured manner. And then we run exercise, which is called cognitive debiasing. Okay? There are certain ways by which we role play a certain games, and that takes the bias out from all of these perspectives. And it allows people to look at both pros and cons of their own thought process. And voila, what came out was that 2040 could be beyond smart manufacturing. We could be having a self-aware manufacturing, self-configuration, self-optimizing, self-healing, all sorts of things. What would humans do? Well, that was the next question. I'm glad we didn't get into that while we were at the end of our session enjoying German beer. But that's something that we all have to figure out. And hopefully we have 15 years to figure that out, and we'll get there. But effectively, what questions we were going after were really, why not, how about, and what if? Those are the 3 questions that help you think innovation, that help you think transformation. And those questions lead to more questions, and those questions also lead to each other. Any of that question can take you to the other 2 questions. So the circle over here is a little bit different than traditional circle. That's what I call as an inspiring next circle. And there's a reason why I emphasize the term circle, because for a long time we've been going after this book called Start with the Why. Simon Sinek, very, very popular book, and it defines the so-called golden circle, saying why is at the core, and then comes how, and then comes what. Now, let me be clear over here. Simon is not wrong. Why, how, what are important. But the place for that is when you want to grow a business, when you want to scale it up, when you have already done the innovation, and now you want to rally your entire entire workforce behind you. I hope you're getting the message here. The message is you want to create something new, you start with why not, how about, what if. Once you have answered those questions and you have created a new product or a new offering, then you can go to your employees and your customers and then you tell them why they should buy it, how they should use it, what should they do with it, and stuff like that. So why, how, and what are to convince your followers to follow you. Why not, how about, what if is to lead your followers into a completely new direction. If you want to inspire a bunch of people to transform something, the questions are why not, how about, and what if. Finally, when you embrace those questions, do not push back if somebody else brings those questions onto you. I'm sure many of you have seen this cartoon. These two cavemen are dragging a whole bunch of stones on this so-called wheelbarrow, or whatever, and the wheel is square. And this guy comes running saying, hey, why not round wheels? And says, no, thanks. Okay, how about some wings? Oh, we are too busy. Right? So ask the questions, but don't push back on the answers and go find the answers. That's my message today evening. And Rhonda, I hope I am on time, and I will close with this. Why not connect with Ripi Singh? Or how about 30 minutes of what if conversation? Thank you.
Dr. Singh, you are absolutely perfect, sir. I love it, and I hope all of our attendees, we have 43 of them tonight, will follow up with you and have that what if conversation so they can really examine how innovation can serve their companies or their particular scenario or situation. So how about right now it is time for questions. All of our attendees from across the globe, if you would like to ask Dr. Singh a question, you're getting a lot of kudos, terrific presentation, awesome presentation. So, you talked a lot about your journey, learning from your grandfather and really this evolution across your professional life, your academic life, and your exchanges in all of these different areas that you're serving. Could you share with us maybe, is there one seminal pivot moment for you where you said, you arrived at these conclusions? You gave the indication that it's been the 5 years of digital transformation, and before there was learning, right? But maybe how did you get to the point where you could make the presentation on this concept tonight, Dr. Singh?
Yeah, it's a difficult to identify one particular moment. I think what I would like to say is that life has been good to me. I keep getting invitations for lectures, and every time I have to give a lecture, something new happens, right? There are some new elements in every lecture. There are some new elements that come with every client engagement, with every technical or business challenge that we have to deal with. Working for large corporations, they moved me every 18 months to turn around a different department, and every department had a different problem, and we ended up developing different tools to get there.
Yes.
One way to think of it is like this. And I'll take an example from Simon. Simon Sinek says, "Do you love your wife?" And the answer is yes. Can you tell me the date you fell in love? The answer is no. You don't know the exact date you fell in love with your wife, because it just happens over a period of time, conversations, dates, spending time together. And one day you feel, I am in love, right? So I think a lot of this knowledge that has built around how the innovation can be managed and transformed is like that. You keep doing things, and one day you feel, oh, I know how this magic works, right?
Yes.
And you go to a client site and you do something and the magic works. And then when the client says, we never thought of that. Yeah, me neither. I was
I love it. Okay, so let's talk about, like you're working on the innovation management standards body. How have you informed that work, or that work informed you, what you're doing with your clients in this innovation space?
Okay, so that's a very, very good question, and I get that quite often. So, I do all this research on innovation management, and then I have clients with whom we practice innovation. So when we sit in the ISO meetings, I share my perspective, I give my opinion, and it goes into the melting pot of 45 other experts around the world, right? And then something new comes out, and then we realize that that is of value, and that is actually a lot more portable, that is a lot more industry agnostic, client agnostic, because I come from engineering background. There are finance guys, there are HR guys, they're all different domains. People bring their innovation experience, and we create this document which is meant for all companies, all domains, right? And I can now take that back to my clients.
Yes.
But the important thing is, when you create something which is common across sectors, across,
Yes.
it is somewhat diluted, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the lowest common denominator that is acceptable by everyone, that applies to everyone. But that provides a very good starting point for everyone. Okay. So I have always said that, and I'm sorry if there are ISO participants listening to me, if you don't like my opinion. ISO standard is a great standard to adopt and start innovating, but don't stop at that. Make that as your baseline, and then build from that point onwards with the talent you have and with the industry you are in. That's the right way to use ISO. So I'm able to carry my experience into those standards, and I'm able to carry what I learn from my peers who are developing the standards and the actual standards documents to bring back to the community.
Thank you, Dr. Singh. So I think we have, there's more questions, but we have one especially. For what book could you recommend starting with for more information?
Okay, there are several. Actually, the best one, I'm sorry, I'm going to step up. These are all the books that I wrote.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. There. Very good. Love it.
I mean, do we know anything better than that? I mean, this summarizes a lot of what what I spoke in the talk today. There's another one where I talk about this one, building a culture of innovation.
Yes.
That's a good one. This is written specifically for executives who like to read more like blog posts, because you can open it anywhere and it just talks about one topic per page. You start here and the topic ends here, and that's it. And you don't have to read from front to back. You can open any page, pick a nugget, and use it. So those are the two.
Thank you. That's a perfect lead into our next question is, we usually have this spectrum online, right? One that are active, they may be an executive, they may be a SME, they may be a leader in this innovation area or digital transformation in particularly. And then we have new people, right? So let's do the experience digital transformation nexus with AI. Do you have a piece of advice or a way forward for those that are operating in that arena today?
I don't think I get the question very well. So can you help me understand the question a little better?
Yes. So let's say you have a very experienced executive leader or SME that's been operating in the digital transformation space for a while now. Now we have the advent of AI, either through the lens of international or domestic or some particular industry segment. Is there a piece of advice or a couple an approach that you can advise that would help the people online kind of take that back to their organizations and be able to apply it, Dr. Singh?
Okay, so the first thing is the term AI, artificial intelligence, is across the board a very misunderstood term. Okay, the first piece of advice I would give you is you need to think of it like IA, intelligence augmentation. It really is not artificial intelligence, but intelligence augmentation. Use it as your partner. Use AI like your junior colleague, but keep your human leadership piece in there to fully leverage AI in your business. And if any of you believe that your executives are champions in digital transformation, I don't think there is any champion truly of digital transformation, because a lot of us are still learning the subject. We are students. We may have studied more than others. Some people have studied more than others. And there is always the next step. And the next step for them to think is, okay, if you're digitally transformed, go digitally transfigure the ecosystem. Okay, if you're able to use AI, use it in a manner to relieve the load on the employees, not to lay them off. Okay, use it as your intelligent assistant. That's where I would close this conversation. I can go on and on this particular thing. We actually partnered with the GPT-3 3 years ago, before ChatGPT came. I actually have the honor of having published the very first paper with AI as a co-author 3 years ago. And the topic was human factors in decision making.
Yes.
And the conclusion at that point was, treat it like a junior colleague and you will get value out of it.
Fantastic. I love it, Dr. Singh. Okay, now for those who perhaps are new or very nascent in this digital transformation space, and they want to bring something back to their organizations. In addition to your books and the wonderful questions and the parallel with Simon Sinek's approach, what would you offer them as a way forward?
So in my presentation, if you notice, I showed the model of how digital penetrates from device to process to business to ecosystem, right?
Yes.
Most companies have digital devices. Most companies have several processes that are already digitalized. They have ERP systems, they have CRM systems. The way to start off would be to actually map out your business, look at all the processes that you have, figure out how many processes all the way from start to end are fully digital and fully automated. If they are not, what would it take to put digital into that process thread? Just thinking, same lean thinking at the process level. And then how would you connect all of the processes? How do you connect your production process, the design process, the marketing process, the finance, the HR, all of them connect with each other to build to the next level? So you map out your business, you divide that into processes, you assess each process, and you divide that into various devices that exist in between, and push your digital penetration from bottom up.
Yes. So I think we heard a couple things for those on the line. I think what I heard you say is we have a maturity model, if you will, that takes you from phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, phase 5. Here's some seminal factors that you shared in your deck, and it helps you gather current state as well as helps you envision your future state and helps you perhaps bring that phased plan to your peers and or your team to show how they can arrive at their future state.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm not seeing any questions in the chat, so let's keep going.
What did I do?
The digital, well, you did a wonderful presentation, and now they're all agog, Dr. Singh. So how about, could you speak to probably going back to your own journey, right? So if you go back over say the last year or two, is there a seminal scenario that you can speak to that really brings the principles of digital transformation home, right? To say, hey, an organization or a client or the scenario is this is how we might have solved it or approached it through the lens of digital transformation. And here's the outcomes we are able to achieve from that.
So we recently did a workshop with NASA Langley. And we were looking at what does it mean and how can digital be used in maintaining like the space station, which is planned to go around the moon, which becomes a platform for launch to the Mars. So we actually looked at, we don't expect a lot of people floating around to do any activity around the space station around the moon and maintaining your house on Mars, right? We need a lot more automation, a lot more digital, and a lot more communication.
Yes.
And communication over a fairly long distance, right? I mean, truly long distance. Earth to Mars is a little bit long distance. So the lag alone told us that we need to have a lot of commonality, a lot of universality, an ability to make spare parts up there, an ability to repair activities. So, that was even an eye opener for us. One, we were hanging out with some of the best scientists over there who are already living in 2040, and we enjoyed doing that. And to be able to put their ideas together into a system. And the real aha moment that evening we celebrated was when one of their chief engineers said, Ripi, this was fantastic because we have talked about all these ideas in the past, but we were never able to see how they all come together in an ecosystem far away from Earth, something which looks like logical and which will work. So, the workshop we run where we build the ideas and we cognitively argue about its feasibility, that brought about a lot of challenges, and they address those challenges. They're all smart people. But just the process of combining a collective intellectual melting pot and baking it into a cake. We basically were able to do that for them. And we still give that example quite often as to be able to go in that environment and still, the day we started the workshop, it was like my wife said, what do we know about this? I said, we know nothing, but we know what we do, so something will happen and good things happen. So, and then something else came up. A couple of guys came up after that who said, Ripi, your workshop was very interesting. I've gone through a lot of leadership trainings, but none of them ever made me feel like a leader. Now I feel like I can see the future and I can convey that vision, and I have a message that I can give. One girl comes and she says, you really built a strong team without telling that it's a team building exercise. I said, well, team building exercises never work when you tell them that it's a team building exercise.
Exactly. Thank you, Dr. Singh.
When you throw them into a problem to solve collectively, they gel and they come out as a team.
Exactly. Thank you. Because they have a purpose and they have a way to apply it, right? And they work together to do that. Thank you. Okay, so I think this is a wrap for our ASQ Innovation TC meeting for April 2024. I'm just going to share the screen one last time. So that we can share our upcoming information and to really share with you our ASQ Innovation TC 2024 officers. Our chair is Miss Rebecca Mott, our secretary is Miss Jackie Jolly, and our immediate past chair and treasurer is Mr. Larry Miller. They love all things innovators and innovation. So if you have an interest in learning more about the team, participating as a speaker, trying us out in a micro volunteer, we would very much love to have your inputs. I'll be sending this deck out later and we'll have the links. And so don't worry about taking that down. You'll get it very shortly after our webinar ends. Again, if you are not part of ASQ already and you want to learn more, you can join us or Google My ASQ Innovation TC. We also do a lot of innovation type activities with our ASQE partners who have published research on their insights on excellence, on digital transformation, Industry 4.0, the role that innovation plays across a wide spectrum of industry segments. So we invite you to read that as well. If you are not a member and you want to find out the benefits, there will be a join link. And we again invite you to our 2 upcoming sessions, one on 6/27, one on 7/25, where we'll explore more about the wonderful world of innovation. So again, a big thank you for our guest speaker tonight, Dr. Ripi Singh. We thank you so much for your presentation. Thank our attendees for their wonderful questions and feedback. And we will see you next month on the 27th. Good night, everybody. This is Innovation TC out for tonight.